Bhagavat, of the Supreme Lord, Yashaha, glories, Mittaha, mutual, Ratihi, loving attraction, Mittaha, mutual, Tushtihi, satisfaction, Nivrittihi, cessation of material miseries, Nitaha, mutual, Atmanaha, of the soul. Very nice verse. Translation: one should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction. And by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. Beautiful, huh? Purport. This is 11th canto, so this is not Prabhupada's purport, this is the disciples of Prabhupada, taking from our Acharya's commentary, and they start with Dhira Swami. According to Srila Dhira Swami, those who are advanced in Krishna consciousness should not envy one another or quarrel amongst themselves. Giving up all such mundane feelings, they should gather together and chant the glories of the Supreme Lord for mutual purification. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has pointed out that glorification of the Supreme Lord is especially potent when performed in the association of pure devotees, when devotees engage in Sankirtan, chanting the glories of the Lord together. They experience the highest transcendental bliss and satisfaction. Thus, they encourage one another to give up material sense gratification, which is based on illicit sexual connections with women. One devotee will say to another, "Oh, you have given up sense gratification. Starting today, I shall also give it up." Starting today. Paragraph. One should learn to increase one's love for the devotees, to satisfy them, and to give up sense objects unfavorable to serving Krishna. And, not but, one should learn to view the entire universe as paraphernalia for the Lord's service. By engaging the objects of the senses in Krishna's service, one automatically becomes detached from them. It's like yesterday morning's Queen Kunti. Ananya Vishaya. Paraphernalia for Krishna's Vishaya. And then there goes my own Vishaya, the mentality of being a sense enjoyer. One automatically becomes detached from them. And as one passes one's days in the association of the Lord's devotees, one's transcendental ecstasy increases more and more. This sounds like a summarization of the first verse of Shikshastakam, Anandam Buddhivardhanam, through discussion about the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, one who wants to be free from the harassment of Maya, anybody wants to be free from the harassment of Maya? Yes, Maharaj. In the form of sense gratification, must constantly associate with pure devotees of the Lord who have no engagement other than chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord and carrying out His mission on earth. Confirmed. Last paragraph, Madhvacharya. Srila Madhvacharya has pointed out, very interesting, that just as one should cultivate friendship with devotees, one must cultivate a spirit of friendship towards the demigods, who manage the universe on the Lord's behalf. Thus one should live peacefully within this world. End of purport. So the verse again, Parasparano katanam pavanam bhagavat yashaha mitoratir mitastushtir nivritir mita atmanaha. Translation, one should learn how to associate with the devotees of the Lord by gathering with them to chant the glories of the Lord. This process is most purifying. As devotees thus develop their loving friendship, they feel mutual happiness and satisfaction, and by thus encouraging one another, they are able to give up material sense gratification, which is the cause of all suffering. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. There's so many nice things to say about this nice verse. First of all, the context. This is a verse spoken by, doesn't indicate which one, but the Navayogendras. Navayogendras are the 9 sons of Rishabdev that became Uttama Bhagavats. That's a nice and an important understanding. Rishabdev, an incarnation of the Lord, appeared as a Kshatriya. And of the 100 sons of Rishabdev, a number of them became Brahmanas, a number of them became Kshatriyas, and a number of them were beyond Varnashram, which is a nice scriptural reference, if you ever need to make such a scriptural reference, where the praja, the children, are not necessarily by birth the same varna as the mother and father. If you're born a Brahmin, you're born of Brahmin parents, you're not necessarily a Brahmin. If you're born of Kshatriya parents, you're not necessarily a Kshatriya, etc. And it's not only because Kali Yuga everything is upside down, which is also true, but here's the personality of Godhead, Rishabdev, and some of his children are Kshatriyas, some of them are Brahmanas, and some of them are Uttama Bhagavats, beyond any consideration of Varna and Ashram. So those 9 sons, they're the ones that are speaking. That is discussed in the 5th chapter, Rishabdev and his sons. This is now the 11th canto, and they're now speaking to King Nimi. So King Nimi asks a number of questions, and then the Navayogendras respond. So here's his question in the beginning of this chapter 3. Several questions, but the first of them is, King Nimi said, "O great sage, please explain how even a foolish materialist, like us, can easily cross over the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord." That's called Maya. We raised our hands saying, yes, I'd like to overcome the influence of Maya, which is always insurmountable for those who are not self-controlled. So this very same language also comes later when Krishna is speaking with Uddhava. Before a number of you arrived here in Gita Nagara, we had some little sessions with those that are in the devotee care capacity of service. And we asked the devotees, they were asked before coming to our little gathering, what are some scriptural references that inspire you in this matter of your service of extending devotee care? So, where's Gokulananda? Gokulananda's here. He mentioned the Avanti Brahman story. That's much later in this 11th canto, chapter 27, where Uddhava is asking Krishna, just paraphrase to make it really simple, what's the root cause of suffering? Why do we suffer? Why do living entities suffer? Because if you know the cause, then you can know the cure, right? So, to answer that question, Krishna takes a whole chapter to tell a whole story. A true story, because Avanti is a real place, and there's the Brahmana from Avanti. The Avanti Brahmana. Avantipur. So long ago there was a Brahmana. I'll just do a quick gloss of the storyline. And the Avanti Brahmana was really good at his brahminical duties. But from those brahminical duties he received prosperity, and he was attached to prosperity, and he became obsessed with doing his duties to get the prosperity, and he was something of a kripana, not a brahmana. He was very miserly with the prosperity. So much so that the people in Avanti, they didn't like him. He was not a nice person. He was too attached to his prosperity. And even his own family members, there's this saying, charity begins at home. He was miserly with his family. So they had problem with this Brahmana. And as fate would have it, he became so attached to his prosperity that he forgot his brahminical practices. He slackened and, fell off the cliff. And then, as fate would have it, he lost his piety, and in that position of impiety and his cruelty to others, because he had prosperity, so he became proud, so with that pride he became cruel. By nature's arrangement, or divine arrangement, he lost everything. Part of his wealth was in land and production from land, kind of like a wealthy landholder Brahmana, kind of an improper position for a Brahmana. And there was a long drought, and so it was very poor crop production, and so he he lost his wealth. And he had debts, and people came and demanded their debts. And so whatever was left, his family took it from him and left him. Oh, my family left me. And so there he was, destitute. Now he's a poor Brahmin. And he had nothing. Not even his family to support him, because he had been cruel to everybody. And in that condition, he had no false shelter left. The only thing he had left was the vestigial remains of his previous activity as a qualified Brahmana. And so he turned to the Supreme Lord and took shelter of the Supreme Lord. And because he had nothing, he lived like a mendicant. But everybody thought, oh, this guy, he's just another one of his clever tricks. He's playing the position of a poor person, so he'll take riches from us. So they sent him away. Get out of here. And whatever little bit that he did receive as alms, the children would come and take his begging bowl and throw it away. Sometimes they would urinate in his begging bowl and stick their tongue out in it and say, you're not a nice man. They were not nice children either. And insult him and call him names and treat him harshly. His life was miserable. And so he then began to contemplate, why is life so miserable? And then he started to consider, maybe it's my karma, maybe it's the planetary influences, maybe it's other living entities, maybe it's this cause, maybe it's that cause. Because he was learned, he matched this possible cause or that possible cause and refuted them, so he was left with only one thing. And that was, my mind is the cause of my suffering. Because if I was actually fixed in my relationship with Krishna, then I could see everything is temporary and tolerate because it's just temporary, and my real identity is something else. So my mind is the cause of my suffering. And then he stated this one very nice verse, a verse that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted from the Avanti Brahman story. Of course, he's Krishna himself too. Etam sa astaya paradmanishtam adhyasitam purvatamayar mahadvi aham tarishami dharantaparam tamomo kundamri nisheva naivat. That's one of the verses that I learned because Srila Prabhupada encouraged those who take sannyas. In addition to, when you take sannyas, there's, in addition to the Gayatri mantras, for those that chant Gayatri, there's an additional mantra that sannyasis say at the end of the Gayatri mantras that Brahmanas recite. And along with reciting that sannyas mantra, Prabhupada encouraged that we, or recommended, whatever, that we can also say this verse. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said this verse when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the order of sannyas from Keshava Bharati. So following Lord Chaitanya, like that example I gave yesterday, Queen Kunti is like the mother duck. Thinking about it this morning, quack, quack. And so we're a little duckling. We don't know what to do besides quack, quack. Follow behind Queen Kunti and take her example. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the example of etang sa astaya paradmanishtam adhyasitam. So it's, the verse says, I don't have the direct translation here, but I will cross over the insurmountable, just as Nimi is saying, the insurmountable, not difficult, but insurmountable. You can't cross on the other side of it. That's what insurmountable means. Insurmountable material existence. Just by this one qualification, keeping my mind fixed with full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that I'll get on the other side of this insurmountable, not just formidable, not just difficult, taxing, troubling, insurmountable material existence. So that's Krishna's teaching to Uddhava, the cause of suffering and the cure. So now Maharaj Nimi is asking basically the same question. How to cross over? Please explain how even a foolish materialist can easily cross over the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord, which is always insurmountable for those who are not self-controlled. Well, it sounds like if you become self-controlled, then it's surmountable. So how do you become self-controlled? And the answer is, you become controlled by the Supreme Self. Rishikena, Rishikesha Sevanam. Or, like Queen Kunti said, Tvai me nanya vishaya. Very nice verse. That's yesterday evening's verse. Tvai vishaya, break it apart. Vishaya means sense gratification. Your sense of gratification is my objective. It's called love. Where the interest of the beloved is the interest of the lover. So, Tvai vishaya, and then in between is me ananya. Ananya is really clear. No other. There's Anya and Ananya. Something that I learned from Atmanivedana about when you were taking business classes at Brown University and they were teaching hedging. You didn't like it. You remember? I remember. I never heard the word before. I know what hedges are out there, but I didn't know what hedging is. The hedging is, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. You invest over here, and you invest over there, and if this goes down, that one won't go down, so you don't lose your shirt. Hedging. Like hedging your bets. If you have many baskets, you don't have faith in anything. Except there's just one objective, get money. Because money's the honey, and with money you can enjoy. Forget religion, just get money. And hedging, instead of worshiping God, dharma, artha, kama, just in hedging. So you get money, so you can enjoy. You just replace this. So the religion is money instead of God. And you don't not just one God, you have many gods, and you some over here and some over there, and you do your hedging program. And Ananya means no hedging. Just one. Just one. What if that one lets me down? Well, he won't let you down. You let him down. Anyway, that's the teaching. Ananya. Vishaya. He's the only set of senses to be pleased. Dedicating oneself to that. Matir madhupate asakrit. Asakrit is like squeaky clean. Absolutely. Undeviatingly. Unstopping. Incessant. Not a kind of, fanatical obsession. Just where your heart has been given to Krishna, then there's no other consideration, because it's love, divine love. There's no other consideration. Asakrit. Unto the personality of Godhead, Krishna, Madhupati, the Lord of Madhu. Let my mind go there. Out of love. So we're not in that condition of love. We're in the condition of, if we're doing well, sadhakas. We're practicing. Be honest, we're practicing. We're little ducklings going quack, quack. We don't really know, except, the mother duck is going quack, quack, so we're going quack, quack. We're following the qualified persons with some faith in them and the process, and we're experiencing something. So Mimi is asking, what's the way by which even a foolish materialist can easily cross over the insurmountable Maya and get to the other side? Well, at least insurmountable for those who are self-controlled. So once again, self-controlled means controlled by Krishna, controlled by love. It's very nice. Being controlled by love is very nice. It's not unpleasant. It's very nice. So, to answer that question and a series of other questions, the Navayogendras are then explaining. I'll read the previous verse to this text 30. One who desires his ultimate self-interest. What's self-interest? Sva-artha. Sva-artha. Self, real interest. One who wants, what's your real interest? Not, the hedging kind of thing. But your real interest, not the conditional kind of thing. I like, I don't like. I'm attracted, I'm not attracted. Not that kind. Your real self-interest. Down, deep, deep, deep down. On the soul level. Your real self-interest. Those who desire that, they may not even know what that is, but they desire that. Real self-interest. They cultivate friendship with those persons who have accepted Krishna as the Lord of their life, which exactly fits in with the message from yesterday evening, which is, in order to have a loving relationship, the basis and support of that real loving relationship is a loving relationship with Krishna. Conversely, without a real loving relationship with Krishna, you're not going to have loving relationships. It's going to be something else. One of those cosmetic things. Put it on, looks good. Wait a while, it wears off. Doesn't look good anymore. Doesn't feel good anymore. It's very uncomfortable. No longer a loving relationship. It's something else. So what's on the soul platform? Queen Kunti was saying, take away the material portion, just leave the soul to soul in relation to the Supreme Soul. Then it can go this way, that way, it's okay. It's just, that's a real loving relationship. One who desires his ultimate self-interest should cultivate friendship with those persons who have accepted Krishna as the Lord of their life. One should further develop an attitude of service towards all living beings. Does that sound familiar? The verse by Rishabdev who was saying, offer respect to all living beings, knowing that within their heart is the sitting place of me, in my super soul feature. And by doing so, you'll become very dear to me, and indirectly you'll be respecting me. Well, it's directly respecting me because this is my wish. One should especially try to help those in the human form of life, and among them especially those who accept the principles of religious behavior. Amongst religious persons, one should especially render service to the pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is another one of Rishabdev's teachings. Mahat Sevam Dvara Mahorve Muktes. Very wonderful verse from 5th chapter of 5th canto. So now following that is this one. The Navyogendras are advising, develop loving relationships. How do I do that? I've got stuff and they've got stuff that's impeding a loving relationship. So it's, it comes one of those covered things. What to do? I'm this, as Nimi is saying, attached materialist. I'm this pathetic materialist. Somewhere in there is this spark of something, but not very much. And there's a lot of this other stuff. What about me? So, cultivate. Anushilana. Anushilana is a word used by Rupa Goswami, which means essentially cultivate. Anu means follow, and Shila means conduct or behavior. Not just imitate the behavior, but cultivate the mood. Don't just go back, but follow the mood of those exalted personalities. Like Himanshu's comment yesterday, or question-comment. Those that inspire you, the Sarvabhauma Bhattacharyas that become transformed, or whatever it is that inspires you, look inside and what moves your heart. Those great personalities, follow the mood of those great personalities. Even you're, this pathetic materialist, or whatever it is. You're not very advanced in your trajectory of spiritual life. Whatever it is, that little spark, fan the spark through these exalted personalities. I don't know if I can do this succinctly, but I'd like to, on the same theme, I'd like to spend a little bit of time discussing how to do that. Like, with feeling. The difference between information and feeling. So I'll try to do that in two different ways. One is the first evening was Shikshastakam. First verse of Shikshastakam. Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadava. So one by one we went through, at least the first four. Now, this is Lord Chaitanya's instruction. And what is instruction meant for? It's as I mentioned yesterday, that they form direction of the Lord. That's what instruction or intelligence is. Go that way. Like, when you're coming here to Gitanagara and you haven't been here, you get your GPS, but sometimes it tells you to go that way when it's that way. I've learned that way. So, you ask somebody directions. Which way to, Gitanagara. They give some direction. So, Lord Chaitanya is giving direction. How to reach Krishna. Specifically, how to reach Krishna when you're covered, like Nimi is asking, You're this pathetic, covered materialist. How to reach Krishna? I haven't a clue. I want to get on the other side of this insurmountable Maya. How do I get there? So, from that position, you receive some instruction. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So it's not only information, but there's a mood. How do you take this instruction and, say it's that way? It's beyond just, we're all doing, so we're chanting. But to what degree are we experiencing? To a lesser and greater degree. We're experiencing Cheto Darpana Marjana, our heart is becoming cleansed. So if you want your heart to become more rather than less cleansed, if you really want that, then you have to go beyond the information stage and you have to go to the heart stage. How do you do that? You associate with the excuse me for not being a little clumsy trying to express this, but the feeling behind the message. Because there's a message, that's a direction, you go that way. But then there's a feeling behind it. Like the holy name is merciful. And you recognize the merciful nature of the holy name, and there's some feeling. Follow? I'll try it this way. Something that I've experienced with, I like, because Prabhupada did this. Whenever going into Prabhupada's quarters, he kept on a corner of his table a jar of macadamia nuts. And the idea was that anybody that came, whatever it was, before leaving he would give them some prasadam. And I thought, that's nice. But besides a cultural thing, it's a dadati, pratiganati, guyam, apyati, prishati. It's a loving exchange. Here's some prasadam. So persons may not bring him some prasadam, but he's, extending a loving, that's what it is. Lost my train of thought. When Prabhupada is giving instructions, it's not just, the information. It's behind it is a desire to bring us closer to Krishna. It's love. He wants to bring us closer to Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya wanted to bring us closer to Krishna. So here's some directions. Go that way. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. But there's a mood. We're just chanting Hare Krishna, and it's cleansing our heart. But there's some recognition of what it is. It's like it's not just a macadamia nut, but it's prasadam. It's a loving exchange. That's what it is. So here comes the holy name that we're given by our founder Acharya and the disciplic succession. We're chanting the holy name, and our heart is becoming cleansed. So this example of giving prasadam to children, here's two different responses. The child comes up, they look at what they're getting, sometimes they point, I want that one instead of that one. They take that one and they just look at it and put it in their mouth. And then the parents say, what do you say? And the child says, thank you. Yeah? And my image is one of those little toys that you tilt the toy and it says something. Thank you. Very mechanical. Thank you. There's no thank you. There's no feeling. It's just, behavior. So we can do the behavior, we can do chanting, but where's the feeling of thank you? If you recognize what it is that's being given, not only that the holy name is purifying, but it's Krishna, and He loves you. And one of the things that's getting in the way of that loving relationship is there's all this contamination of heart. So He's not just being a janitor and cleaning our heart, although that's one thing that is happening. It's love. And so if you chant with that mood, you're like the verse that we just chanted. Bhagavad Yashaha. Pavanam Bhagavad Yashaha. One's becoming pavanam, purified by parasparano katanam. About what? About Bhagavad Yashaha, the glories of Bhagavan. So this is one of them. Cheto Darpana Marsh. Wow. Then there's a feeling. Chant with that feeling. I'm chanting, and this loving, supremely loving person, Pavanam, he's purifying my heart. I'm just chanting. And, it's just this, thank you. It's just, a degree of mechanical chanting. But Krishna looks beyond that, and, there's this little spark, and he's encouraging that little spark, and he's cleansing our heart. Thank you. Some recognition that it's with a mood, a feeling of gratitude by Bhagavad Yashaha. And then this first word, parasparam. Paraspara. Note, paraspara is translated the same way. It means mutual. As this, here's another one, mito, mita, mita. It means it's 4 times. It means mutual. It's two-way. It's a relationship of love. Haribol. And it starts with Krishna, Bhagavat, Yashaha, the glories of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving us the glories of the holy name. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. And in the purport, the first part of the purport, Sridhar Swami is being quoted as saying, those who are advanced in Krishna consciousness should not envy one another. Now this envy of one another came in the earlier quote, you remember from as far ago as yesterday. There's lots of things going on here, so many classes, how can you remember everything? But yesterday morning was a verse spoken by Rishabdev to his sons, in which he spoke about Vivikta Drik. Do you remember that one? Vivikta Drik. And it has 2 meanings. Directly meaning is without envy. So Sridhar Swami is saying in relation to this verse, is the devotees should, those that are the pathetic, attached materialists, should give up envy, and not in envy, associate with the devotees. And without envy, glorify the personality of Godhead. And in that way, together, rati, experience some attraction for the object, Krishna. And together, experience tushti, satisfaction. Together, experience this nivritti, no longer materially attracted. Wow! All I did was get together with the devotees and glorify Krishna, and all that stuff went away. Because, as we heard yesterday, when seeing in darkness isn't seeing, and seeing when there's sunlight, you can see the sunlight and all the things you couldn't see in darkness. You can see the attractive feature of nice devotees that are attracted to Krishna, at least a spark of attraction for Krishna. And if that's the focus when you're doing this parasparanu kathanam, when you're hearing and discussing the wonderful topics about Krishna, you can start to see the soul and the soul's attraction to Krishna in the light of the Bhagavad Yashaha, the wonderful glories of the personality of Godhead. All the things that you couldn't see because of being in Maya, it goes away when there's the light of Krishna. It's beautiful. And then loving relationships with the devotees becomes, the door opens. That thing which we very much, all of us universally want. We want to love and be loved. There's no one that doesn't want to love and be loved. We all want. And there's something that's always short, not fully said. It's something nice, but the cosmetic thing, it comes and it goes. Like the weather. Or like anything that's of this world, it comes and it goes. Or like Queen Kunti, even having some attachment to a devotee, but the material portion of the attachment obscures the real purpose, which is love for Krishna. So that my attraction simply be to Krishna. And then I can be fully attracted to the soul and have a soul-to-soul loving relationship. This is how you do it. Or it's one of the how you do it's. Parasparanu katanam pavanam bhagavad yashaha mito ratir mitat tushtir nivritir mita atmanaha. Come to Gitanagari or wherever you want to go and get together and discuss the glories of Krishna and chant Krishna's name and worship Dhira Damodara and more kirtan. Around that all-purifying Krishna, Madaram, Madare, Byopi. What's the rest? Pavanebhyo, Vimangalam. Mangalegyo. Yeah, it's of all auspicious things, it's all auspicious. Pavanam, Pavanebhyopi. Of all things that are purifying, it's supremely purifying. Harinam eva kevalam. And from the chanting of the holy name, the chanting of the glories of the person who is none different than the holy name. The glories of Krishna. The glories of those that are dear to Krishna, his devotees. And the door opens to loving relationships. So like, again, referring back to Shikshastakam, following the Chaito Darpana Marjanam, and as that continues, Bhava Maha Davagni Nivapanam, that envy that's the root of our other contaminations is addressed at the root. And then the other contaminations gradually become cleansed. And the tendency, Bhava Maha Davagni Nirvapanam, to again take to material association, such tendency as this verse is being described. Because the satisfaction is there, and one sees this nice example of other devotees, just as being described. Thus they encourage one another to give up material sense gratification, so one devotee will say to another, "Oh, you have given up sense gratification starting today. I too shall give it up." At least we'll see what happens tomorrow, but I asked one of the children, how many rounds did you chant? He said, 8 rounds. I said, what's the most rounds you've ever chanted before? 8 rounds. In association with devotees, all kinds of things can happen. Sometimes when we have our little japa retreats, little kids, chant 64 rounds. There's one child in the Chicago congregation from the time he was quite small. He couldn't sleep. He was, slept, a little boy, slept an hour and a half, 2 hours, and woke his parents up. Started chanting, we have to go to the temple to go to Mangalarti. I've already chanted 32 rounds. Wow. Okay, we'll go to Mangalarti. And so they went to Mangalarti and he chanted the other 32 rounds. Little boy. He fell asleep in his father's lap because he was tired. He was so excited, And then it was every year after that, 64 rounds. Little boy. Now he's not such a little boy, but when he was a little boy, just in the association of devotees, that which is impossible becomes possible. There's some eagerness to make the impossible become possible. The eagerness, utsahan. But that eagerness, that enthusiasm can just a little spark, a little something. Adavashraddha, something. And in the association of devotees, that little something becomes a flame. And the flame can become a blaze. At least the potency is there. The potential is there in this activity. It may happen to a lesser or greater degree, and it may change in the course of, time, even while here in the association or what. There are variations on quantity, but be assured that the potency of the association of devotees in this very activity of engaging in Shravan and Kirtanam together, it's the answer that Navayogendras, these Uttama Bhagavats, are giving to King Nimi. Even if one is a pathetic, materialistic, attached person, or is, not pathetic, but, attached, whatever our position is, take to this. And do it regularly. Asakrit, as Queen Kunti was saying. Incessantly. At least regularly. Try. Cultivate regularly. Find some way or another, whatever your situation of life is, find some way or another to associate with those that have such propensity to parasparano katanam pavanam bhagavad yashaha. Engage in hearing and chanting together about Krishna and Krishna's wonderful glories. Then Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. That Shreya is this desire to serve Krishna with love. It's a little, but the little can grow and grow and grow. Vistaranam, it expands. The Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, this activity expands that little spark, that little Shreya, and becomes a big Shreya, Mahashreya. A great fortune. The desire to serve. And with that desire to serve, Vidyavadho Jivanam, one gets, like was being discussed yesterday evening, the intelligence, the form direction of the Lord, Bodhi Yoga, how to reach Krishna, how to see where's the weeds and where's the creeper, and pull the weeds, and nurture the creeper through the medium of loving exchanges with the devotees, centered on Krishna, and can continue to cultivate that as the process of bhakti has us do. Then, Anandam Buddhivardhanam, just exactly as is being said here, Anandam Buddhivardhanam. As one passes one's days in the association of the Lord's devotees, one's transcendental ecstasy increases more and more. Pratipadam purnamritasvadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. We're we're very fortunate. Mahaprabhu has come into our lives, and the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his loving devotees, have somehow come into our lives. And we were unfortunate, and we've somehow become fortunate. Let that feeling of gratitude enter the heart, and then do your devotional practices with love, with bhava. So take these teachings, so it's not just information and inspiration, but let it go deeply into your heart. And then conduct your devotional activity, your family activity, your work activity, your loving relationships with the devotees from that position. You'll be jet propelled. There you go. Wow, look at that devotee. I want some of their association. Or like is being said here, oh, you've given up sense gratification. Starting today, I shall also give it up. But this is how. Those loving relationships through the medium of hearing and chanting together. Hare Krishna. So, any discussion? Go ahead, loud.
So, when we have a strong relationship with the person who's giving the instruction,
when there's a lot of static, we can't hear you. What's the deal? You don't know? Yeah, I can give you this thing. That won't work either. I got all these wires.
I can just give out.
Okay.
So when you have a strong relationship with the person we're receiving instructions from, it's easier to understand the feeling behind the instruction, but there is still room for speculation.
Sure.
How do we avoid...
Don't speculate.
Should we ask every time we get an instruction?
No. You wear the other person down. Should I put my right foot after my left foot?
So what's the best way to get the right feeling? Like understand the right feeling?
Use a little common sense. I was afraid you would say that. A little common sense helps. It's kind of like more than helps. It's kind of like necessary. And expect that as you advance in Krishna consciousness, those finer discriminations will become yours. Just like this morning, you were trying to be helpful, and I gave you a signal that says, it'll change. It changes the mood. So I'm more interested in the mood than whether the wire is in the way or not. I didn't say all of that. So what's behind that? That's what's behind that. But there may not be some explicit exchange where you say, could I get an understanding of why it was that you didn't want me to do that? There's a spontaneous mood in kirtan, and that's a little much. Mood is joyful and jubilant, and we'll work around the wire. It's okay. We worked out. Became part of the dance. Went around this way, then went around that way. It was fine. Okay? Yes.
Should we avoid discussing the problems of life?
Should we avoid discussing problems of life?
Yes.
No. But do something first before you go right to the problems of life. And not just, social niceties and then the problems of life. But bring your mind to Krishna and let that come in the sound vibration. Like, for example, it's been a while since I've been associating with you, Prabhu. Tell me, share with me, what are some of the things that you've been reading? And your realizations from what you've been reading. And I've been, back and forth, and we had a really wonderful class, and we shared on such and such thing, and it was really inspiring, and I've been trying to apply it in my life in this way, and what happens is consciousness goes up, and the problems become more in perspective. They diminish in their importance. Somebody was giving this example, just like when you're in an airplane, you look down, things look really small. When your consciousness is connected to Krishna, things of this world that are problems, they take the proper perspective. And if you don't put Krishna in the foreground, those things become, whoa! They get bigger than life. And then, you can't breathe, there's no oxygen. There's this problem, and I don't know what to do. And, because you forgot Krishna. Let's start with that. Yeah. I'm exaggerating a bit, but you get the idea. So put Krishna in the foreground, right in the center of that exchange, somehow or another. And if you cultivate like that, it becomes your way of life. And if it becomes your way of life, then things keep their proper perspective. Then yes, it has its place. In proper perspective. All the way in the back, over there. Keep your hand up.
Question of envy.
Question about envy.
So we talk about envy to Krishna. I do not have realization of that, but at different times I've seen envy coming out of different devotees. And as I'm moving forward in Krishna consciousness, especially I'm seeing now that there is envy even to those who are advanced, superior. So the question is there difference in addressing our envy to different types of devotees?
Say it again. The question is, say it slowly.
Is there difference in addressing our envy to different devotees?
Is there a difference between
Addressing our envy?
Addressing
envy towards other devotees?
Especially those who are
different devotees differently.
I don't understand the
Is there a
question.
different way to address envy towards different devotees?
You mean varieties of envy? Is there a menu? An envy menu?
Conditions, how to deal with, address.
How to handle it from your side? In different ways, according to different kinds of envy? No, that's not your question.
Like I can understand how to address the fear, envy.
How to address, can you speak into the microphone?
So my specific question is, how do we address envy to those who are, like when I feel I'm envious to those who are superior, who are advanced?
Well, first of all, hit the pause button and do a little reset. The reason, and the reset says, the reason that there's envy towards the superior is directly connected to, although I may not be seeing it and feeling it, or aware of it, but it's directly connected to an envy of Krishna. The converse, if I didn't have envy towards Krishna, I wouldn't be feeling what I'm feeling. So that's the root. Now I don't know how to deal with the root because I have this other thing and it's, it's got a hold of me. It is pulling me this way and that way. But at least do that. So the context is, the root. What I mean to say it another way. There's a dandelion in your lawn, so you go and get the scissors and you cut the top of the dandelion off. What's going to happen? It's going to grow again, because there's a root. Then you cut it again, and cut it again, and cut it again, and it keeps coming up. It takes maybe a little while, but it'll come up again, and come up again. So know that there's a root. The root is our envy towards Krishna. It's our material condition. That's the first thing. Then the second thing, this is a Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati advice that you've heard from me probably 100 times. But, that's part of the reset. Something there has to do with something here. There's some resistance towards respect. And instead it's coming out this other thing. Not exactly disrespect, but it's envy. And from that envy comes the corollaries. Stuff. But the stuff is corollaries of the envy, and the envy has its root in envy of Krishna. So, one of the things, this is now another step, that's very, it's not essence, but it's goodness. It's not spiritual, it's material. Spiritual is essence, and material is just, it's relative. So, since I have at least a basic acknowledgement, maybe not a conscious awareness in a deep level, but an understanding, conceptual understanding, that the problem is over here, not over there. There may be something over there that, is triggering something over here. But the problem is over here. And then if I was free from the problem over here, I could be in service to the person over there. But as long as I'm triggered over here, I can't be any service to that other person. I'm a problem. Or I'm creating a disturbance. Or, I'm part of the problem. Whatever the thing is that causes the trigger. That, they spoke something that was very hurried and not with a full thoughtfulness and not so respectful, and so, I feel hurt, or whatever the thing may be. And, by analysis I know it's, circumstantial, whatever it is they were dealing with, and I can understand that, because I do that too, and it's okay, but because there's envy, I got triggered. Whatever the scenario is. So now put something on the other side of the pan scale. This is now, if you look at the nice verse by Bhishma Dev in the 9th chapter of Canto 1, he speaks about antidotes for material problems. It's not the spiritual solution kind, it's the pan scale kind. When there's anger, you cultivate forgiveness. Like that. Put something on the other side of the pan scale. So, if there's envy towards a person, let me think of, at least privately, if not more than privately, publicly, or at least to my husband, let me express my appreciation for that person. Here are the nice qualities of that person, for which I respect them. Because Krishna has decorated them with this and that and the other quality. And lo and behold, it's not just there's a lot of good qualities, but there's the basis for those good qualities, and that's the bhakti that they're carrying in their heart. That's the basis of those nice qualities, because that's where people get good qualities from. Krishna decorates them because of that one quality, the devotion for Krishna. Krishna Ekashanana. Krishna decorated them with nice qualities. So there's this Krishna Bhakti in this person's heart. So the mood has changed. Can change. So that I can then regard the person, okay, there's this something that may be troubling me. I don't like it. I don't have to like it. But it's not, I don't dislike the person or have envy towards the person. I have respect toward the person. By the mode of goodness effort, it's gotten me a little bit closer to the spiritual position, where I can respect that there's bhakti in their heart and Krishna's in their heart. And like I am trying to become cleansed, they're trying to become cleansed. And that's glorious. Then I can get over the envy, and then it becomes instead respect. That now, whatever that thing is that caused some trigger, I can speak in a mood of respect and service to that person. I still take ownership for my own feelings, whatever those feelings are, but there may be something over there, and I can say about that something, rather than, suffer with feelings of envy, and then even speaking something out of envy, like Daksha did to Lord Shiva, and later Daksha did to Narada, from envy. Daksha didn't like, why should Lord Shiva be honored? I should be honored. Look at me. But Daksha's being honored. Or Durvas Muni and Ambarish. Why should, he's a Kshatriya and I'm a Brahmana. And everyone's honoring him. I should be honored. He was envious. So I did, when envy is there, things that are not becoming of the individual can be done. We can act in a way that's embarrassing and unbecoming of something that we would want to be. Certainly wouldn't want others to be. So that's the reset. And then again, you cultivate it and practice it, and you don't have to run, hurry up and fix the thing, because that's not how things get fixed. They come into being like that, they don't go out of being like that. It's a cultivation. Krishna consciousness is the basis of that cultivation. I think we have time for one more question. Maybe two more questions.
Maharaj, it's a clarification. I have heard this phrase, to become envious of the instruction.
To become envious of what?
Of the instruction that I am receiving. So I was just wondering, does it manifest because of the envy towards the instructor?
Yes. But behind that is envy towards Krishna. That's just like a fall guy. What that means is, there's this mean person, and the mean person doesn't do anything. He just has somebody go and, do something mean. So that you blame the mean guy. But exactly the guy that, So the envy that we may feel towards some personality is envy toward the personality, but that's a shallow or an incomplete understanding of what's really going on. Because if there's somebody has something, envy means somebody has, like Daksha, Lord Shiva's getting respect, or Durvas Muni, Maharaj Ambarish is getting respect. That's something I want. But they have it, and I want it. So I envy the person who has it. But behind that is Krishna. Because Krishna is smiling upon Maharaj Ambarish, he's being honored. He doesn't want the honor. But he's being honored. But I'm envious towards Maharaj Ambarish, because I want to be honored. So behind it is, a problem in our relationship with Krishna. And we could give up that problem, we would also be honored. The thing we want. But we want it independently of Krishna. That's the problem. So, over here. Last question. Gonna be a good one?
In trying to serve,
And trying to serve Krishna. It's not how close you hold it. It has to do with, I think, the angle. Okay? Try the various angles. Go ahead.
when we chant,
When you chant,
I realize that it is more, we can dedicate our full in service of Krishna.
yes.
But when we are doing other material activities,
Yeah.
over time, the consciousness is not at its best. So, is it that, we need to take breaks and chant?
Sure. It's called life.
Or, maybe, yeah. Is that the best way to do it, Maharaj?
Well, the best way is to become attached to Krishna. The best way is to become... Here. One should learn to increase one's love for the devotees, to satisfy them, and to give up sense objects unfavorable to serving Krishna. One should learn to view the entire universe as paraphernalia for the Lord's service.
Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari Vajabhakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari Sri Gaura Hari Sahi Goshta Bihari Nanda Jasomati Chita Hari Dhira Damodara Ishaye Kana Bhova Mandire Basi Kara Bojana Nanderani Deshi Bashi Giri Baradari Baladeva Saha Soka Boise Sari Sari Shukta Shakhari Baji Lalita Kushmanda Dalidana Durga Tumi Dadi Mocha Kanda Dabura Mash Boda Roti Kapitana Daskuli Pista Kakir Puli Payasana Kapura Amrita Keli Ramba Kirashara Amrita Rasalama Dvadasha Pakora Luci Sinisar Puri Ladura Sabali Ujana Korena Krishna Hoye Kutuhali Radhikara Pakayana Bibida Byanjana Paramayanande Krishna Korena Bojana Chale Bale Ladu Khai Sri Madhu Mandala Bagala Bajaya Deya Hari Bolo Radhikari Gani Yasoda Bhavani. Bhojanande Priya Krishna Subhasita Bari. Sabe mukha prakaloy Hare Sari Sari. Asta mukha prakaliya Jata sakagane. Anande vishrama kore Baladeva sane. Jambula rasalane Jambula masala. Tahake Krishna Chandra Sukhe nidradela. Vishalaka Shiki Pucha Chamara Dulaya. Apurva Sayaya Krishna Sukhe nirayaya. Yasomati Anga Priye Danishtaya Nito. Shri Krishna Prasad Radha Unje Hoye Prito. Lalithari Saki Gana Avashesha Paya. Mane Mane Sukhe Radha Krishna Guna Gaya. Hari Lila Ekamatra Jahara Pamoda. Bhogarati Gaya Bhakti Dhira Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari. Vajapakata Vatsala Sri Gaura Hari. Sri Gaura Hari Sahi Gosta Bihari. Sri Gaura Hari Sahi Gosta Bihari. Nanga Dasomati